Hello, Gino here, and you are listening to Otherworld Connections. We live in a critical time where now, more than ever, angels and fairies, hidden forces, are bursting at the seams of the veil to work with us. They want to see us change in order to save the world and live in service to others. So join me on a journey to empowerment and enlightenment with an angelic angle and a fairy focus, looking into ways to improve our current situation, morality, archetypes, solutions for self-healing, and spiritual sciences in light of theosophy and other occult traditions.
Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome back to Otherworld Connections. I hope you've had a good, New Year's Eve. It's the 2nd of January down here in New Zealand. Don't know where the time's going. I've been doing a lot of DIY, and I didn't even finish that bottle of bubbly on the New Year's Eve. I think I went to bed at 12:01, and you know what? I had a wonderful day and a wonderful evening. So, what's the point of my story? Just I hope you're all doing well and you're having a nice time. And today's show I'm going to read some Maori fairy tales. Some Maori fairy tales. Okay. Why? Well, I just had a thing about the Taniwha. What's a Taniwha? Well, we'll find out, but okay, I'll just tell you. A Taniwha is basically an undine, I would say, a river spirit that has outlasted the so-called colonization of New Zealand. So the Taniwha is a symbol of strength, in my opinion. And the strength of the mythology of the Taniwha is probably the thing that has permeated all cultures and all peoples living here in New Zealand, and I think that is not an accident. So, part of that, why is this on Otherworld Connections? Well, I'm getting in touch with myths, our past, and connecting mythology to the land in which we live on, and speaking globally, the world which we live in. So that's what that's all about. And I think you were not listening to Crosstalk with Sarah Cross. I think she is on a break today, enjoying her New Year's Day. But you can check her show out on Wednesdays, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio A, Revolution Radio. She might be even starting at 1 p.m. in the new year. And just a reminder that you can find the link to anything I read or refer to during the show in the description of this episode once it's published on my website, thesecretkindergarten.com. And of course on all my channels, YouTube, otherworldconnections.substack.com, Odyssey, Rumble, and on the main platforms, on all those platforms. Did you know that I can douse you a dietary list of things that you should and should not eat? True story. I've tested it out on 5 people, and I do it on myself on the regular. Just one of the things that I can do, kind of niche, potentially lame, largely unbelievable, not really that special, but hey, it's a thing. So, hey, if you want to fix up your diet, hit me up. I can do a list. And it's cheap. It's cheaper than the time it would take me to get a job, because I want to do that. I want to practice that, and I can do it, and it's legit, and it's been tested in the field by skeptical people. And I found their allergies that they didn't tell me, and I knew that they had them. No, well, not really. Just, food items that they shouldn't eat, which spoke of the thing they were allergic to. Anyway, gosh, I am talking too much about myself. So let's figure out what we do, what we should do, what is better to do, how to heal, how to change, how to achieve goals and live successful lives of service by making those other world connections. And let me just go to the chat. Oh, Tatanka Dave, blessings, Gino. And Tatanka Dave has to go and see an aunt. Thank you, Tatanka Dave. And blessings to you. Oh, that's lovely. All right, so let's just look at... Okay, so we're going to Maoriland fairy tales. And I'm channeling... Well, I'm not channeling. I'm basically copying Willow. Willow Andreasen. From Willow's Poetry Corner and Willow's World. Right here on Revolution Radio. Because we're looking at a book. And we're looking at the author, Edith Howes. And I just thought I'd quickly read. Born August the 29th, 1872, Edith Howes was a New Zealand teacher and eventually became a headmistress. Being around children so much led her to write multiple stories, and she became a prolific author. Her fairy tale collections included whimsical original stories of fairy folk. Howes collected Maori legends in Maoriland fairy tales. In 1935, she became a member of the Order of the British Empire, and 2 years later, she received the King George VI Coronation Medal for her extensive work in literature. She passed away July the 9th, 1954, with over 10 books to her name, and this is what happens to you when you spend a lot of time caring for the children. You end up going down a rabbit hole of fairy tales. Oh, and I make myself laugh. Now, let me just go to the schedule because I am basically stealing, in hindsight, Willow's format. And I want to get all her dates and times right. And I've quit coffee again. You know, I say that about once a month, right? So you can check out Willow's World right here on Revolution Radio. Studio A on Thursdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Mondays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Willow's World. And Willow's Poetry Corner right after the Secret Kindergarten. Saturdays, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Right, check it out. So I'm getting distracted over here. Okay. So, and a Happy New Year to all the wonderful hosts. And definitely stay tuned for me while I'm trying to warm my brain up. Conversations with Eagle Flower coming up after me. So it's all off to the races again. All right, in the new year. Okay, so here we go. Maoriland Fairy Tales by Edith Howes. We're going to look at the island and the Taniwha. Page 169. Let's punch that in and get going before we run out of time. Right, here we go. The island and the Taniwha. A fierce storm at sea caught a party of fishermen out in their boats. Rowing hard to shelter, they all reached their homes except two brothers called Manini and Hiki, who were farthest from land. Buffeted by the wind, blinded by the rain, tossed on the great waves, they were carried past every point of land they tried to reach. To hope to guide their canoe was useless. They must be content at last to drift before the storm. Gradually, they were carried out to sea, till they passed the place where the sky hangs down to meet the tumbling waters. Presently, they saw land ahead. They guided the canoe to a sloping, sandy beach. They sprang out and drew the canoe high on the shore. Further along the beach were rocks and a hill. Plenty of rocks and hills in New Zealand. They hurried towards these, hoping to find shelter from the storm. From the rocks, a cave led into the hill. Voices came from the cave. As they stood hesitating, an old woman came to the entrance asking, "Who are you?" "Two brothers who have been driven to your island by the storm," answered Manini. "May we take shelter in your cave?" "Yes, yes, come in," she said. She led the way into the cave. They followed her footsteps, but could not see her, for the cave was dark. "Rest here till morning," said the woman's voice. Worn out with their fight against the storm, they laid themselves down and slept till morning. When they woke, daylight streamed into the cave. The old woman sat looking at them. Behind her stood her daughter, a maiden so beautiful that each brother at once resolved to win her for his wife. The old woman was friendly. She brought food and set it before them. To their astonishment, it was raw. Raw fish, raw potatoes, raw bird. "Do you not know the use of fire?" Manini asked, remembering also the darkness of the cave the night before. "Fire? What is that?" the woman asked. The brothers searched for dry wood. They rubbed rotten pieces together till a tiny flame sprang out. They wrapped the pieces in dry grass, waving them in the air till the whole burst into a stronger flame. Then they pushed the blazing bundle into a heap of sticks they had collected. There was soon a big fire. Curiously, and with some anxiety, the women had watched every moment. They were plainly frightened. "What do you do with it?" the mother asked. "Cook our food," answered Manini. She could not understand. Fire and cooked food were as unknown to these people as the building of houses. She peered into the fires. The smoke rose into her face and turned her sick. "It is an evil thing," she cried. The brothers showed her where to stand and tried to teach her the dangers and the uses of the flames. To cook their food, they heated stones in the fire, raking them out when red hot. They packed them into a small pit dug into the ground and laid the food on top, placing a layer of leaves under and over the food. They then spread turf over the top of the pit. Then they spread turf over the top of the pit and left the food to cook, which is called hangi, by the way. After a while, they turned the turf off and lifted out the food. Such an appetizing smell arose from it that the women could not resist it. They ate their share with relish. "It is good," said the mother. "We shall eat no more meals raw." She went round the hill to tell her neighbours. They came running back with her, eager to see the strangers, the wonderful fire and the oven in the ground that made food taste delicious. Manini and Hiki showed them all how to make fire and cook their food. They found themselves held in such reverence by these simple, untaught people that they resolved to settle on the island. They built a house for themselves and taught the people to build others. When the house was finished, Manini said to the old woman, "Give me your beautiful daughter to be my wife." But Hiki had already said the same thing. The mother did not know which brother to favour. She did not think of asking the daughter for her opinion on the matter. If she had, the daughter would have chosen Manini. At last the old woman said to the brothers, "You must run a race. The winner shall marry my daughter if he can afterwards kill the Taniwha." All the islanders gathered around. A course was set and the brothers raced. It was a close struggle, but in the end Manini won. The beautiful daughter laughed with joy. "Where is the Taniwha?" Manini asked. "He lies over the highest ridge of the hills, said the old woman. From there he descends to slay and eat. If you kill him, you kill our one great dread, the terror of our island. He is a monstrous dragon, so huge that when he walks he shakes the earth. I will kill him, said Manini. He thought deeply. Help me, he said to the islanders. I have a plan. The men came willingly under his direction. They worked all night, digging a deep pit that would hold 50 men. The next day they laid a screen of branches over the top. Hiki and the 50 men stepped in with their weapons and lay hidden beneath the branches to wait while Manini decoyed the Taniwha to the pit. Manini set off alone to rouse the Taniwha and led him down to death. Oh, I'm yawning way too much. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, yes. Manini set off alone to rouse the Taniwha and lead him down to death. Over the farthest hills he went, till he came to the highest ridge. There in his den the Taniwha lay asleep. Manini raised a shout and woke the monster. With a roar of rage, he rushed from his den, snarling and snorting. He pursued Manini over the hills and down the valleys towards the pit. Manini had to fly like the wind, for in spite of his weight that shook the ground, the monster ran swiftly. Manini reached the pit, slipping under the screens of branches just in time to escape the claws of the Taniwha. Then began a terrible fright. The Taniwha tore at the screen, his great claws reaching through almost to the men's faces. "Cut them off!" cried Manini. The men swung their axes and cut off the monster's claws. Roaring with pain and rage, the Taniwha tore a hole with his teeth and came at them with his mouth wide open. The 50 attacked the huge head. After a stubborn battle, he lay at last, helpless and dying over the edge of the pit. Then they sprang out and finished killing him. During the fight, the terrified islanders had shut themselves up for safety. Now they came out of their hiding place, shouting for joy that the dreaded Taniwha was dead, loudly praising the courage of Manini. "He shall be our king," they said. So Manini married the beautiful daughter and was made king of the island. Hiki said, "I also wish to be a king and marry a beautiful wife. I shall take the canoe and seek another island." He sailed away and found another island, where he also married a beautiful wife and was made king. Oh, well, there you go. So slight correction, that Taniwha is a dragon. One popular folk song here is the Taniwha swimming in the moana, in the waters. And Taniwha could be said as a river dragon. Yeah. And if you take magic mushrooms... If you take magic mushrooms down here, near the mighty rivers of New Zealand, you may very well come across the Taniwha. You may encounter the Taniwha energy. You may be in the presence of a dragon force that is willing to give you advice based on, being strong and persevering. And I wonder if that's where the Taniwha came from. Maybe they were putting mushrooms in Manini's panini. No, that was a really bad joke. So let's go to the next one. Where am I? All right. On the moon. Okay, we're drifting to a moon theme Page 139. Let's get this right. All right. On the moon. When shining eyes, through the fire that never goes out, into the sky, it was only a flaming stick, but it grew rounder and wider and cooler, until at last it became a great moonland. It was a wonderful place, a wonderland place. Everything gave out a golden light, mountains and lakes, rocks and trees and flowers, and even the walls and spires of a beautiful moon palace that Marama had built. In the palace lived Marama, all alone. At first he had been so charmed with his fine new land that he had not noticed the loneliness. But after some time he began to say to himself, "Why have I no one to share my work and play? There is no pleasure in playing star ball by myself, and I am tired of singing with no one to listen. Oh, for a companion!" He asked the sky fairies to live with him, but they refused. They had their stars to guard. He looked down on the earth. A beautiful girl with a calabash in her hand walked to a stream at the foot of a hill for water. A young man ran down the hill after her. "Ina, Ina," he called. It was her old playmate, the friend she loved better than anybody else. She waited for him. They went to the stream together, and Marama watched the return. Several times the girl's face was turned upwards to the moon. Each time Marama thought it more beautiful. All next day he could think of nothing else. She would never leave her old playmate and her home, he thought, and yet she is the companion I desire. What a sweet friend she would be. When night came again, he watched for Ina. Down the hill she came as before, her calabash in her hand. Her playmate had not yet appeared. She awaited him. "I will go down. She shall return with me," said Marama suddenly. In a flash he stood before her. At first his brightness dazzled her, but little by little she looked at him and saw that he was a stranger. "I am Marama," he said. "I have come to ask you to live with me on the moon. It is a beautiful life, and I will be kind to you. Come." Ina drew back. "I cannot leave my parents and my home," she said. "I should be most unhappy." "You will soon forget them. On the moon you will have other joys." "But I do not want to forget them, and I have a friend. I will not come." "Think how lonely I am up there," urged Marama. "Ina, you'll never grow old in the sky, for I will take you to bathe in Tane's shining lake, which gives perpetual youth and beauty. Come with me." "No," said Ina. "No, no." Marama flung his arm around her and lifted her from the ground. She screamed, caught a young palm tree with her hands, and clung to it with all her strength. Gently but surely Marama lifted her, dragging the palm tree out by the roots, and carried her up to his moonland. "Plant the palm tree here," he said, as he set her down. "It will always remind you of your earth home." They planted the tree on the edge of the moon, placing the calabash beside it. "Come and see your new home," said Marama. He led her proudly over his palace and its gardens. She was dazed with her quick flight and the brightness all around her, but she could not help seeing the beauty of the moonland. Everything was new and strange. It took her many days and nights to learn to work and play as they worked and played in Skyland. But Marama taught her gently, and they were soon the best of friends. She learned to make fine curtains from the fleecy morning clouds and to throw them across the sky till they hung like lacework over the blue. In times of storm she rolled the thunderclouds. Morning and night she painted the domed sky roof with crimson and purple and gold. She kept the inside of the moon palace as bright and beautiful as Marama kept the outside, for she grew to love her home. When the day was over, came the time for play. Then Marama and Aina danced and sang, played with the stars, rode on the moonlit clouds, paid flying visits to Rangi or the fairies. Every month they bathed in Tane's shining lake, so that they should never grow old, but should forever remain young and gay and beautiful. But although Aina was so happy, and although she had learned to love Marama and her moon home, she never forgot her old life, as Marama hoped she would. Deep in her heart lay the memory of her parents and her friend. Often when the earth lay lit beneath the moon, she would stand for hours under her palm tree, trying to see the hill and her friends. Until she had bathed in Tane's lake, she could not distinguish objects at such a great distance. After that, however, she found that she could see perfectly. Now, when she looked down, she saw her old playmate travelling warily over the land in search of her, while her mother sat in the doorway, wailing for her lost child. Full of pity for her sorrowing friends, Aina flew to Marama. "Marama," she said, "my mother weeps for me, and my friend roams the country in search of me. Look on the earth, and you will see their sadness." Marama looked below. "If my old playmate could see how happy I am, he would be pleased." She went on, "Bring him here for a visit, Marama, that he may ease my mother's heart on his return." "It is well said. I will bring him here," said Marama. He flashed down to the earth, seized the young man in his arms, and carried him up to the moon. Aina stood awaiting them. Astonishment and joy shone in her old friend's eyes as he stared at her. Aina told him what had happened to her on that night when she disappeared from the hillside. And he told her how her friends had sorrowed for her ever since. Aina showed him the wonders of the moonland and talked of her great happiness in living there. "I can never come back to the earth," she said, "for I have bathed in Tane's lake, but you must not think I am unhappy here. Indeed, I would not return to the earth if I could. The pleasures of this life are so great. Stay with us for a little while, that you may see what happiness is mine." He stayed with them, and they taught him the work and the play of the sky. When it was time for him to return, Aina said, "Tell my mother and my friends what you have seen, that they may not sorrow for me any longer." She called the rainbow, charging it to carry her old playmate safely to the earth. The rainbow hung over the earth. Aina said farewell to her friend, and he slid down the shining bow to the hillside. When he told Aina's mother of her daughter's new life and great happiness, she dried her tears and rejoiced. As each night fell and the moon rose in the sky, the earth friends spoke of Aina and Marama and the wonders of their moonland home. Aina was satisfied, but she has never lost her love for her old earth home. Even now, when the moon is clear of clouds, you may see her gazing earthward, the tall palm tree above her head, and the calabash at her feet. That is what you see if you look hard at the moon when it is at the full. Oh, that was a lovely story, that one. That's a really cool, yeah. Mitzi says, "Cool story, Gino." Yeah, it's a nice one. That's really lovely. Pet Rabbit's in the chat. Hey Pat, hey Mitzi. Yeah, hope you're doing well on this New Year's Day. Alright, we got another story. Oh, running out of time. Me doing too much blah blah blah. Let's have a look. Alright. Maoriland Fairy Tales by Edith Howes. Published in 1913. Was this book ever read to me? No. I think it is possibly on the burn list. Which it shouldn't be. That is a beautiful fairy tale. And fairy tales are fairy tales, no matter where they come from. And I'm just blown away that I've discovered these Maori traditional fairy tales. Translated into English? Sure. Okay. Nevertheless, they are beautiful and powerful. So, that was a great story of the moon. Does that speak to perhaps the soul's journey upon passing that story? I don't know much about the moon, but we might find out a bit more about it through these Maoriland fairy tales. We're going to read now How the Moon Was Made. Here we go. How the Moon Was Made. Long, long ago, before there was a moon in the sky, there lived two beautiful maidens who loved each other dearly. One was called by a name that meant shining eyes, and the other by a name that meant rippling hair. Shining Eyes had heard a great deal about the fire that never goes out. She often talked to Rippling Hair about it. It is kept in one of the underworlds, she said. Fierce spirits guard it day and night. If we could bring it away, we should obtain the life that never dies. Think of it. Unending life. What a gift that would be to the world. One day she said, "Will you come with me to look for it?" "The journey is too dangerous," cried Rippling Hair. "Besides, there are those terrible spirits. We should never return alive." "Wait, I have a plan," said Shining Eyes. "We must take a basket of kumara to the spirits." Those are sweet potatoes. "While they eat the sweet earth fruits, we can snatch away a fire stick and run off with it." Oh, and they're much more than just sweet potato. Well, they're not. They're purple. They are red-skinned, and they look like they kind of got warts on them, and they are red-skinned, purple-fleshed, white and purple-fleshed, and man, they are delicious. They're like twice as delicious as orange kumara, orange sweet potato, which I also love, and those are delicious too. All right. They're more potatoey. They're more, okay. So anyway, shut up, Gino. Right, here we go. "But they would catch us." "I think not. We are both swift runners, and we should have a good start." "Our fathers may not let us go." "We need not say where we are going, nor mention the dangers of the journey. It will be enough to say what we wish to take a little trip together. Say that we wish to take a little trip together." Rippling Hair still looked doubtful, but Shining Eyes took her hands and looked into her eyes. "I am going, dear friend," she said. "I have thought of it night and day until I must go. I cannot give it up. But you, do not come if your heart fails you. I do not wish to lead you into danger." "Where you go, I shall go. You know that," cried Rippling Hair. "Then come with me to find the fire that never goes out," laughed Shining Eyes, "for that is where I am going." "I will come," said Rippling Hair, although she trembled at the thought. Afterwards, when the real dangers came, she forgot her fears and went through everything as bravely as Shining Eyes herself. They obtained the consent of their parents to leave home, made all their arrangements as if for a short visit to a neighbouring village, and started off, taking with them food for themselves on the way and a basket of kumara for the spirits. At first the track was pleasant enough. It led over a sunny plain and past a gently flowing river. But when they came to the dark bushlands, their troubles began. Every tree and bramble, every bird and insect in the bush knew why shining eyes and rippling hair were travelling north, and they all tried to turn them back from the death that they risked. The tall trees interlocked their boughs to shut out the sun and make the pathway dark. "You will lose your way. Turn back before it is too late," they sighed. And many times the two girls lost their way. "Turn back before it is too late," said the brambles, the thorny wait-a-bits. They caught the friends, holding them with their curved claws and tearing their hands and faces till they bled. "Turn back before it is too late," piped the birds and insects. They stole what food they could when the maidens were not watching, so that hunger should drive them back to safety. But shining eyes and rippling hair would not be turned back, although after many days their sufferings had weakened them so sorely that they fell at the foot of a great tree fern and could not rise. They did not lose heart. All their food was gone except the basket of kumara for the spirits. They were footsore and numb with weariness, but they said, "We shall sleep and wake up strengthened. We will not give in." From among the fronds of the tree fern peeped the kindly faces of watching forest fairies. They heard the brave words and saw the worn-out girls drop off to sleep. "Let us help them," said one. "The bush has done its best to stop them, but they will not be stopped. Perhaps their courage will carry them safely to their journey's end." They trooped down from the tree fern, carried the sleepers to the fairy palace, and laid them on beds of softest down to dream the night away. In the morning they brought magic foods and drinks that took away all pain and weariness. The two girls, strong and well once more, went on their way with grateful, happy hearts, leaving the bush behind. They came into the mountain land. The mountains put forth all their terrors to turn them back from death. Little hills raised themselves into mountains to tire their feet. Mountains stretched themselves almost to the sky. The girls went on as if nothing had happened. The hills and mountains, seeing this, fell back again to their old size, and the girls climbed over them with ease. Sometimes great rocks sprang suddenly into their path. Deep clefts opened before their feet. Mountain storms roared about their heads. Once a mountain giant chased them, but they neither faltered nor turned back. And at last the mountains said, "Leave them alone. Their courage will carry them safely through to their purpose." They came at last to the end of the land. Below them lay the sea. Above them towered a beautiful tree with crimson flowers. They stood on the edge of the cliff and looked at the twisted roots that led from the tree down the face of the rock to the beach below. The tree is called Spray Sprinkled, said Shining Eyes. Between its lowest roots lies the opening to the underworld. To that higher point above us come each night the souls of those who have died during the day. There they pause once to sigh, then fling themselves below to enter that dark underworld. If we can save our friends from death and this sad end, our sufferings on the way have been worthwhile. Through the night they rested. When the morning broke, they descended by the roots and found the opening to the underworld. A narrow passage, dark as night, led into the earth. Trembling, they entered in, groping their slow way with beating hearts. After a long time, a gleam of light shone out in front. They walked faster. Coming to the end of the passage, they peeped out. Before them lay a wide open plain, lit by a fire made of 3 sticks crossed. In front of the fire sat 3 fierce old spirits. "The fire that never goes out," whispered Shining Eyes. "Give me the kumara." Silently as they could, the girls approached the fire, but the spirits heard their steps. "Mortals!" they shrieked, starting up in anger. Shining Eyes held out the basket of kumara. "See," she said, "we have brought you these earth fruits. You have none so sweet down here." Astonished at her boldness, the spirits took the kumara and crowded round to taste them. Stooping, Shining Eyes snatched a fire stick from the ground and flew with rippling hair towards the entrance to the passage. They had almost reached the entrance when screams of rage behind them told them that their trick was discovered. "Quick, oh quick!" breathed Shining Eyes. Up the long passage, now lit by the flaming stick, they fled with desperate swiftness. Behind them came the spirits, gaining on them with every step. "If only we can keep the lead till we reach the opening," panted Rippling Hair in front. "Ah, here it is! We are saved!" She sprang through the opening, turned and grasped her friend's hand to pull her through. But at that moment one of the spirits reached Shining Eyes and seized her heel. "I am held," gasped Shining Eyes. She struggled wildly. While Rippling Hair pulled with all her strength, they could not free her heel. "Drop the stick, drop the fire stick, and give me both hands," Rippling Hair whispered. "Drop it, or you'll be pulled back, and that means death." "I will not lose it. It is unending life," cried Shining Eyes. With one tremendous effort, she hurled it far into the sky. Seizing the freed hand, Rippling Hair jerked her friend out of the spirit's grasp onto the sandy beach above the opening. The spirits dared not come above the ground. They fled back through the passage, screaming with rage at the loss of their cherished stick. The girls lay panting on the beach, their eyes directed to the flaming stick. From where Shining Eyes had flung it, it whirled higher and yet higher, faster and faster, until it whirled itself into a ball. Rangi looked down and saw it coming. He put out his hand and caught it, and fitted it into a niche in the sky. Calling the north wind, he gave him a message for the girls. "Tell them," he said, "that unending life is not for the people of the earth, but tell them also that their brave deed is not lost. For the fire that never goes out shall stay in the sky to give light when the sun is away. Through it I can look down upon the earth mother at night. By its light men shall see to walk when otherwise it would be dark. Let the maidens return to their homes, knowing that forever men will bless them for the good deed they have done." The girls listened to the message and were comforted for the loss of the stick. They retraced their steps, arriving home in safety to relate their doings to their friends. The people were astonished, but they saw the new great light in the sky. So they believed the girls and loved them for their noble courage. And the great light still shines on in the sky. Men call it the moon. Oh, and there we go. And that's that. So, yeah. So, yeah, there are associations with the moon and, the passing of souls or the transferring of souls, transitioning. And there's definitely a connection with the moon and the kids. And obviously we know the moon sort of symbolizes the subconscious. And, And the whole point of that leads me to, we are going to do some moon exploration through books, get an understanding of what the moon's about and how we can use the moon. We've done some moon readings based on which zodiac house is in the moon's path. We've done a little bit of that. Moon is very important to the other world, to the fairy, to the fae, the fairies, the she. Some kind of intermediary point for the soul, for perhaps things that we can't see, energies. Something like that anyway. That's what's hinting at it. And Happy New Year to everyone from Pat Rabbit. And great to hear the story. Pat Rabbit says, great to hear the stories of ancient cultures. They might be closer to the truth than they realize. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be taken from that. And I'm super happy to have found that book. And I learned from Julia, my partner. She said it's a book that is often sold in the auction houses here in New Zealand. So that's this book here by Edith Howe, Maoriland Fairy Tales, and it has a lovely front cover picture, beautiful front cover picture. And it was a top-selling title back in the day. Yep. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to find these truths coming from the fairy tales. We are reviving the fairy tales. Moral of the story here really is, at a base level, is it's important to read fairy tales. Yes, that's right. Mitzi says, I believe that too. Good to study the old stories to see what's going on these days. They give us the keys. And that's Mitzi, a.k.a. Jerry. Or it's Jerry, a.k.a. Mitzi. And you can check out her show, Bridget's Well, Healing with the Elements of Life, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tuesdays, Studio A, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can check out Bridget's Well there. And what was the name of the book? It was Maoriland Fairy Tales. I'll just type that into the chat now. You can get it from Anna's archive. You can get it on Internet Archive. It's around. It's freely available. Just doing a little search online. Otherwise, I will send you the PDF. Maybe I can just post that. And Pat Rabbit got his copy of The Colburn from a bookseller in Auckland. The only one Pat could find that had it. Forgive my ignorance. I do not know what The Colburn is. But the good thing about me is that I'm honest. So you know how smart or stupid I am from the get-go. There we go. Yes, so there are definitely obscure books you can come across in New Zealand because you know what? The book burning... okay. We may as well just tell you this very quick story. My partner Julia is a bookworm. You name it, she's read it, right? And here in New Zealand, up until very recently, and we wonder if Julia triggered this, you could request books at the library. So what did Julia do? Well, she requested every single, any truth book she could come across. Everything, you name it. you name it. David Icke and beyond, okay? And now all those books are unavailable. But the Auckland Library was the blimmin' Alexandria of contemporary truther books. Anyway. All right. Okay, well, much love, everyone. Happy New Year. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next one.